Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden. In today's video, we're driving the old Integra. And I know you might be thinking, oh my god Mark, we're about to go the exact same direction again for like the 15th time. No, we have a separate path to take today. Also, quick little fun fact about Mark. I have such a bad bloody nose today, but I kind of have to start filming now or else I'm not going to have any time to do it later. So I'm gonna have to be dealing with that during the whole video. Should you daily drive an Acura Integra? Obviously, if you don't know, this is my Acura Integra. It is a DC4. It's a 2000 Acura Integra LS. No, it's not a GSR. No, it's not a Type R. But I've been dailying it for about a year and a half now. And so I'm gonna say whether or not I think you should do the same. Mine is a manual. I bought it with 150,000 miles. It says it has 170,000, but we swapped the odometer out for a new one. So realistically, it only has about 158,000, I want to say. Is how many miles I've put on it, because I am a YouTuber, so I don't have to like drive to work every day. But yeah, I put some miles on it. It's manual. I like the car overall. I recommend buying it overall. They're really cheap right now. But should you daily one? Let's get into that, partner. Let's get into that action. So first off, we're going to go over the pros, because of course we like to talk about the happy things, and I wrote down like a list of things that I want to talk about for each pros and cons. And first up is, for the pros, is a reliability. These cars are reliable as hell. Like like people always say, oh man, Integra Hondas are so reliable, some of the most reliable cars out there, and they're not lying. These things are so reliable. I haven't had any issues with mine, besides really small things. Obviously will break, like my driver's side window sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't, and things like that. But besides that, like also my brakes obviously need to be swapped out too. You'll hear that in today's video. They like to rub a lot, so that's my bad for not swapping those out. But those are brakes. I mean, that happens in every car. But besides like those two things, I have had zero issues with this car. The check engine light is on for an O2 sensor, and that's just because I lowered it. Like, there's no problems with this car. That is because of the car itself. That, you know what I'm saying, not because of me in particular. The next thing that is a pro, in my opinion, is the price. These things are dirt cheap, man. I got mine for $3,000. Again, no issues whatsoever on it when I got it, except for the window. And yeah, it's been great ever since. I mean, there's a bunch on Facebook Marketplace for cheap too. The thing is, you do have to be careful when buying one, because they are kind of a tuner car, and a lot of young people get in them because they are cheap. They're cheap. And so since young people get in them, they don't take care of them. So there's a lot of them that are overpriced and have hidden issues that you have to be careful of, for sure. But overall, they are very, very cheap. And then on top of that, not just the car itself, but all parts for it are super cheap. Aftermarket parts, OEM parts, whatever part you're looking for, it's gonna be cheap. These cars are just cheap. They're cheap overall, and that is in 100% a pro, in my personal opinion. I mean, obviously that's a pro in anybody's opinion, but yeah. Next up is the looks. Now this one's obviously divisive. Excuse me, that was gross. This one's obviously divisive, because looks are 100% completely up to you. It doesn't matter what other people think. If you don't like how it looks, then you don't like how it looks. That's all that matters, right? I think the looks are good. I get some people that turn their heads at me quite often. People wave to me. People seem to like the car, seem to think it looks good. And so overall, I would say the looks is definitely a pro. And on top of that, these cars are, again, very cheap to modify. So if you don't like how it looks bone stock, which chances are you won't, because I didn't really like how mine looked bone stock either, then you could very easily modify it and make it look much more aggressive, much more sporty, and just an all-around much more enjoyable car for you. See, this is where we're changing up. We usually go that way in these driving videos, but we're going right this time, because I found something out here I want to go to, and so we're going to go this way. You guys won't see it, because it's like another 20 minutes until I get there, but it's out this way. Okay, we're probably going to pass this Honda Fit, because this person is going hilariously slow. But anyway, the next pro for the car is that they're front-wheel drive. I know we like rear-wheel drive. Everybody does in the car community, right? It is overall a more enjoyable experience to drive a rear-wheel drive car, I would say, than it is to drive a front-wheel drive car. And that's just because they can do the donuts, they can do the burnouts, they can do the drifting, they can have all that fun in a rear-wheel drive car, but the front-wheel drive cars can't. However, if you are into the autocross track sides of things, then you probably like front-wheel drive better, because instead of experiencing oversteer, you experience understeer, and it's just usually a lot better of a package. But the reason why I put front-wheel drive here in general is because it's just such a better application for daily driving, no matter where you're from. It really is. Front wheel drive means that the motor has less space to push the power through, because it's just giving the power to the front wheel, so it's not traveling the power all the way back, so you have a lot less of a loss of power in front wheel drive cars, except for when you actually step on it, because then it shifts to the back, and that's kind of why people don't like front wheel drive, because pulling will never be better than pushing. But anyway, besides the point, they get money on gas. They're more reliable. They're what's the big one? Oh yeah, if you live up in like a winter area, which I do, I live in Connecticut. If you live up in a winter area, then yes, all-wheel drive is the best one for sure. But driving a rear-wheel drive car in the snow is not that fun half the time. And front-wheel drive is, in my opinion, a whole lot better than driving rear-wheel drive in the snow. This person is pulling a U-turn in the middle of the road, buddy. Kind of cuckoo for you to do that. There's like driveways all around that he could have turned around, and I know it's illegal to turn around in someone's driveway, but who cares? Do it anyway, you weirdo. Anyway, the last pro that I have for the list is the gas mileage. I mean, it's a lightweight 2,400 pound Honda with an inline 4 going to the front wheels. Obviously, this car's gas mileage is pretty freaking incredible, man. Like, this car is a much smaller tank than my 350Z did. The gas tank is much smaller than it, but it takes around the same amount of distance and time to run out of gas when the 350Z did. Like, that's insane. I think it's like, the tank is, I don't know how much smaller the tank is, but it's smaller by a decent amount, and it's totally fine. The gas mileage is just obviously absolutely incredible. Any Honda is, any small little economy Toyota, because Integras are like sports cars, I would say. I would classify them as a sports car. But overall, if you really think about like the guts of an Integra, it really is just another Civic. It's just another economy car, but that just has a little bit of makeup thrown on it, and it looks cool, and it does have a little bit better suspension pieces and some other parts on it that do make it a little bit more sporty than like a regular base model Civic. But overall, it really is just a Civic at heart, and so it gets the same amount of economy as a 2000 Civic did too, and it's great for that. But now we're getting into the cons, which are the things that are going to be a little bit iffy. The first thing is an unfortunate one. It is the speed. These cars are very slow in a straight line when stock. Now, notice I said in a straight line. And also notice I said when stock. It's no secret, partner, that Acura Integra was not built to go fast in a straight line. It wasn't. It was a car that was built to go faster on a circuit. Now, is it fast when you bring it up to the twisties? Absolutely. This bad boy gets up and goes, and when you go into the twisties, it's fun as hell to bring it to like a really twisty, cornery area. It is so much fun. It's so much more fun than my 350Z was by a long shot. Like, it just grips, it loves it, it's so light, you can just throw it into corners and it absolutely eats it up. That is a blast, and it's fast in that regard. But if you want straight line speed, you have to heavily modify it. However, that's also not necessarily a big downside, because these do come with a B series. They come with a B18, and they are good for making power. And when you think about the fact that these cars are only weigh 2,400 pounds, you start to realize that small numbers of horsepower gains goes a long way in this car. So yes, it's not fast in a straight line stock, but it can be if you put some money into it too. So even though it's a con, because I'd be lying to myself if I put it in a pro, the speed is could definitely be altered to go in your favor in either way. But I'm gonna put it in the cons for right now, because again, when it is stock, I think most people, if they get into an Integra as their first car and it's bone stock and they start to drive it around as fast as they can, they'll start to they will be a little bit disappointed. And so that's why I'm putting it in the cons, because it is a little slower than you would expect in a straight line. Next is the space. I'm 6 feet tall, and I remember, now I'm used to it. I mean, I'm fine at this point, but I remember when I first got into this car, the first couple times I got into it, I literally had to like struggle to squeeze my right leg onto this side of the steering wheel, because I couldn't like fit it in. So like my head would hit the roof constantly. Like, I have literally about, like, listen to the space I have. That is, like, I have literally like an inch of space up there. As you can see, my right leg here has that much of movement. Like, it's definitely got, and this seat is as far back as it could go. The steering wheel is as lifted up as it can go. Like, this is as much space as I have. So the space on the interior is very small, and at first you're gonna notice that, and unfortunately there's really not much you can do about that. You could, I guess, like get custom seats and then like make custom brackets and put them back a little bit farther if you wanted to. I guess that would give you more space as driving, but also the back seats, by the way, I've had some of my boys try and sit in the back of the car, and they do not like that. It is not comfortable for them at all. So usually I just use the back as sort of like a second trunk, like almost like it's a truck, because that's about how much space they have back there. It's really bad. So the back space isn't good, the driving space isn't good. The trunk space is all right. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it's okay. It's a hatchback, so you can put some things up to the roof and you'll be all right. But besides that, I would say the space overall is definitely a big letdown. These are small cars. If you're a tall person, do not expect to be super comfortable at first when driving it. And the next con is the sound. This is personal preference, but I would put it here because I personally never liked the sound of any Honda, and this is just another Honda. So I personally do, oh wow, that was a big bump. So I personally do not like the sound of this car. That's just my personal preference. I'm sure there are people out there that love Honda inline four sounds. I'm sure there are people out there that absolutely hate them. I'm putting it here because I personally think it's a little bit of a turnoff. I went from having a 350Z, which yes, you could say trumpet noises galore, whatever you want to say. I don't care. I have a Stiffy. You can sniff it, buddy. All right, because I liked the 350Z sound. It sounded great. It was my I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed that sound. And then I got into the Integra, and I was definitely a little bit disappointed when I give her the old. It's not anything crazy. Not anything crazy. It's just a little like, it sounds like it's like nagging me, you know? It's like, come on, let's go. And it's like, shut up, man. I'll go when I want. Like, what are you talking about, Integra? Meanie. Anyway, last thing for the cons is the car is outdated. Now, this doesn't really affect me personally. I've never really cared too much about like interior quality, but after I've been in like some newer cars, some nicer higher tier cars, and I've seen the interior, and I go back into my Integra, it's definitely, you know, it's not like, I don't hate it, because again, like, I don't really care too much about it, but it's just not the same. Like, you feel a little bit more like comfortable and bougie in a more modern car nowadays than you do in this, and that's obvious. But some people are gonna love this classic small, simple interiors, and some people are gonna hate it. I personally put it in the cons because I think more people are gonna dislike it rather than like it. It's I know what the stigma is when it comes to car guys. Like, okay, we like the older stuff and we're okay with that simplicity, and I do too. I really do. I genuinely don't have that big of an issue with this interior whatsoever. I really don't. And sometimes I love the fact that it's so simple and it's just like there's nothing crazy going on. But when I get into one of my friends' cars or one of my family members' cars that are much more modern, and it's like a 2019 car or whatever, and I see all these modern features that these cars have, I get a little jealous. There are some features that these cars have that seem really fun and useful to have and just really enjoyable overall. Things like backup cameras, I hate that. I don't like those at all. I think those are just a plague. Push to starts, that's kind of cool, but the keyless entry, that's stupid. I don't like that either. But there's so many things, like there's just so many new things that cars have nowadays, and overall I just think some people might be a little bit disappointed if they get an Integra and they realize how simple it is, because it really is so simple. I mean, you have your radio here, that's radio, heat and AC here, heat and AC buttons where they're going to go here. This is also for like air circulation, AC. This is all just your heat and AC buttons. I don't know what that does, to be honest. It's just like a sunroof button. I don't know what that does. Hazard lights. That's it for buttons. That's all you have for electronics. Oh, you have the sunroof button over here actually, and then you have obviously your window buttons here. And that's it. That's all you got. That is the electronics in this car. No special features, nothing. I don't even have cruise control. Actually, I do have cruise control. I just found out I have cruise control. That's the first time I've ever known I had cruise control in this car. That's kind of cool, I guess. I don't use cruise control, but yeah. And then you obviously have your little, like, your lights and your windshield wipers, but that's it. I mean, it's so simple. You have a clock up there. Mine's not right. It's not 116. It is 323. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. That's it. Interior is outdated. All the cons are realistically things that don't personally affect me too much anymore, but cons that I noticed when I first got the car, and I think things that people are going to notice when they first get the car. And so you have to kind of ask yourself, are you okay with that? Because when I first got the car and I saw those things, I didn't realize it was going to be like that, and so I was a little bit disappointed at first, and then I gave it some time and I started to fall in love with the car. But some people might not might not be that way. So you got to think, you know, got to think about those cons and be like, excuse me, God, you gotta ask yourself, am I okay with these cons? Are they gonna negatively affect it so much to the point where I do not enjoy driving the car? Or is it just like a small inconvenience at first that you'll get used to? I think most people will get used to it over time, and I think most people will be fine and will not have too much of an issue with it. But if you don't think you're that type of person, maybe stay away from it. Overall though, do I think it's a good idea for you to purchase and daily drive an Acura Integra in 2024? Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Overall, I would say yes. I mean, it really is. If you're a car guy, at least. If you're not a car guy, no. Just buy a 8th gen Civic. They're cheaper than this. They're more modern than this. They're more reliable than this. They'll probably have less miles than this. They're more spacious than this. Everything that is the cons in the Integra is not in the newer Civics. So just buy an 8th gen Civic, they're super cheap, or buy a Camry. If you're not a car guy, just buy something that's reliable. Just get you from there. But if you are a car guy, yes, I think these are a great option for a daily driver. I love them a lot. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidania, and have a nice